Hi, my name is Patrick Cheeseman and I'm a senior consultant here at Von Jaeger. Von Jaeger is a licensed provider of international business companies here in the United Arab Emirates. In our offices in Dubai, we have a team of 16 people who speak multiple languages. We cover English, Spanish, Russian, Hindi, French, German, and others as well. And the team here helps our clients all over the world, set up international business companies here in the Middle East. So, without further ado, I would like now to present to you what an IBC is and how you can set it up here in the United Arab Emirates.
Now, Von Jaeger is located in Dubai, which is one of the 7 states of the United Arab Emirates, along with Abu Dhabi, which is the capital, and Ras Al Khaimah, amongst others. This is a photograph of our office block from outside on Sheikh Zayed Road in Dubai. And here we have a typical shot of Dubai in the evening. Now, living and working in Dubai is very nice. It's a thriving metropolis. There's a huge amount of investment that's been poured into the city and continues to be poured into the city. To give you an example, last year we opened up our metro system here, which is the world's largest fully automatic train system, and it's been expanded as we speak. We have a new airport under construction, a brand new airport in the middle of the desert called the Al Maktoum International Airport, which will become the biggest in the world when it's completed, as well as our existing airport, which is also being expanded at the moment. We have our plans for national railway links to cover the whole UAE and the GCC countries. There's huge investment going into our ports, Jebel Ali, for example, which is a massive trading hub for the UAE. Billions and billions of dollars of trade pour into that facility and out again as goods and services, goods are moved around the world. The environment here is very well regulated, very pro-business, very pro-entrepreneur, an easy place to set up and do business. Now, Von Jaeger itself, these are photographs of our office. We have 16 people who are dedicated to helping you set up and maintain your IBCs and provide consultancy services to help you work in the Middle East. We are multilingual, multinational, speaking French, German, English, Russian, Hindi, Arabic, amongst many other languages. And we are dedicated to providing you with the best quality service for helping you set up IBCs, maintain them, and provide consultancy services for your company. Okay, it's a great place to live here. It's a fantastic place to do business, and it will continue to do so because the country is growing rapidly. It's well diversified. We have, of course, the oil revenue, which is the backbone of the country, but the country derives huge revenues from the import-export of goods and services. UAE is strategically in a very good location because if you fly 3 or 4 hours from Dubai, you'll hit a market of over 2 billion people. We have China, India, Africa, Europe, some of the world's largest and most important markets. We have excellent transport links here with the airports, as I said, airlines like Emirates Airline, which you might have heard of, which has a goal of flying to every continent on the planet and making Dubai the world's largest aviation hub. So as you can see, there are many examples of the investment that are going into the city, into the country, and we believe the UAE has a very strong future, and we believe it's one of the best places, if not the best place in the world, to set up an IBC and prosper. Okay, so let's get on to explaining what an IBC is. An IBC is a business that has been filed or incorporated outside one's country of residence. So, for example, if you're living in the UK, France, or Germany, and you set up a company here in the UAE, then that's an IBC. It's because it's set up outside of your residence, where you're living. And the IBC company incorporation is a very simple process for all the popular jurisdictions, including the UAE. You can have a fully legal company to conduct international business, or you can use it to protect your assets or to avoid tax, and more details about that later. But let's take a look at the facts first. IBCs are used by everybody, okay? all the multinationals, or a majority of the multinational companies around the world, use IBC structures to make the most effective use of their resources and their assets. Okay, companies like DHL, Continental Airlines, FedEx, American Airlines, etc., they all use IBC structures. Okay, because it allows them to design their businesses to provide them with the maximum returns. Okay, IBC transactions are global; they're 24 hours a day, and they incorporate a very large percentage of the worldwide trade going around the trade around the world right now. But what are the features of IBCs? Well, zero tax. If you set up an IBC in the UAE, there is no corporation tax, there's no income tax, there's no capital gains tax, there's no VAT or sales tax. Okay, so it is a tax-free environment. IBCs set up here are 100% owned by their owners. 100% of the shares are allocated to the owners. There is no requirement for an IBC to have local ownership, so you have complete 100% control of your shares. The amount of documentation required to set up an IBC is very small as well, and it's a very quick process, which of course Von Jaeger is here to do for you. Now, once you open up an IBC, it is possible also to open up a corporate bank account, and Von Jaeger will provide you and advise you on a list of banks, corporate banks, that you can choose to set up a corporate bank account. And once we have all the documentation for you, we can actually set up the company very quickly in just 1 to 2 working days, and it's a very effective and easy process to do so. What are the advantages of an IBC? Why do people set them up? Well, amongst other things, management and protection of assets and properties. A lot of our clients set up IBCs because they own property all over the world, or other companies and other types of assets. So they will create IBCs to hold those assets in an offshore location like the UAE. Okay, the IBC can own, as I said, property here in the UAE or anywhere around the world. Now, the UAE is not an OECD country. That's the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which means it is not obliged to pass on financial data to other countries. Okay, and of course the UAE is a transparent, very well regulated, thriving economy, and it is on all the white lists for doing business around the world. Okay. IBCs can be used for hedging wills and inheritance. You can structure your IBCs through trusts, etc., in order to manage your family wealth. And of course, an IBC that's set up in the UAE can do business all over the world. You can invoice import-export companies, move products and services anywhere except for in the UAE. If you want to do trade in the UAE, then there are other options as well. Okay, a lot of our clients use IBCs for patents, trademarks, and agencies, so to protect your intellectual property. Okay, you can create IBC structures to hold those patents, etc., for worldwide business and protecting your branding, your company reputation, and the products and services it provides. Another great advantage is there's no initial capital required. So in your application to set up the IBC, you specify a certain amount of capital, but you do not have to transfer that amount of money over to set up the IBC. Okay, and of course, the final, probably one of the most important ones is anonymity, i.e., you want to structure your environments in a safe, secure, your structure your companies and businesses in a safe, secure manner, which is anonymous. And of course, you can do that with an IBC in the UAE. IBCs are recognized commercial companies that are formed within a few days, and of course they can be set up very quickly. Where, as I said, we can do it in 1 to 2 days once we have all the paperwork. There's no complicated bureaucracy, and it's very affordable and easy to maintain as well. And Von Jaeger, as the license partner that can create these companies, will provide services for the creation and maintenance of the companies, so that we look after them on your behalf. And of course, you can contact us at any time if you require additional information, materials during the existence of your company. Okay, and as we mentioned, the IBCs are the preferred company structure to achieve anonymity and privacy protection. And the structures that you're allowed to set up here provide you with that level of protection. But of course, there are many jurisdictions around the world, so why would you choose the UAE? Well, you have other jurisdictions like BVI, Belize, Liechtenstein, Mauritius, etc. And the problem with many other of these locations is that they are under pressure from organizations such as the OECD to provide private financial information, and they are blacklisted in some cases, and therefore the level of protection and security in those locations is not as good as it used to be. Also, most of those countries rely almost solely on their ability to set up IBCs. The UAE is a real economy. It does real trading. It has massive investments placed in the UAE. There's real infrastructure here. There's very high levels of regulation. It's a very open environment. So that provides you with more safety and security because it's a more solid, diversified economy. It doesn't rely on the registration of IBCs to keep it going. And thousands of companies start their businesses in the UAE every year. The UAE is located in a strategically very important place. If you fly for 3 or 4 hours any direction from the UAE, you've got billions of people. You've got India, China, all of Africa, the Middle East, Europe. These are the largest emerging markets in the world, and absolutely critical to multinationals and any company that's looking to expand. Okay, we have excellent infrastructure here. I've talked about the metro systems. I've talked about the new airports. We've got fantastic highways. There's a new national rail work under planning, which will start construction soon, which will link all the Emirates and the other countries in the GCC and beyond in a railway network. There are the port facilities here for shipping in and out goods are world class. It's a great place to live and work, and a very nice environment to do business in. So why would you choose the Ras Al Khaimah Investment Authority over anybody else? Well, RAKIA, as we call it, is the only government-owned IBC organization in the world. The RAK IBCs are under the umbrella of a government, so you can be assured of safety, security, and high regulation. Okay, that is why it is extremely safe. Many of the other jurisdictions, such as BVI, Belize, Seychelles, etc., rely almost either completely or a very large proportion of creating IBCs as their main business. They have letterbox companies. Okay, they exist as a certificate. Okay, and that's the only facility that's in those locations. With the UAE, with RAKIA, with Ras Al Khaimah, you have real companies. You have proper trade. You have a highly regulated and a very pro-business environment. RAKIA has an A rating from S&P and Fitch from 2008, which offers the best environment with a modern infrastructure for the setup of IBCs with complete privacy and confidentiality for both individual and corporate investors. RAKIA also supports a wide selection of outsourcing companies and offers several marine-related, including an open registration facility for vessels and yachts from anywhere in the world. Okay, so it's a very diverse, very well structured and very well protected environment to set up your businesses in. And it's been recognized as such. For example, in July this year, the Ras Al Khaimah Investment Authority, and Ras Al Khaimah itself, was the winner of a Financial Times Award for the most innovative GCC investment destination. Okay, so it's not just us saying it, it's been, the experts will say the same thing. The Ras Al Khaimah is a fantastic place to set up a business. A recent article in the German version of the Financial Times said that financial experts say that the UAE has a golden future as a destination for IBCs due to zero tax, super infrastructure, and an efficient and favorable legal system. Okay, so the organization has been around for many years. It's a very pro-business environment. It's easy to set up IBCs. It's easy to maintain them. There's a great location to do it. It's fantastic infrastructure. All of these things lead to an environment which is one of the best places in the world to set up an IBC. Thank you very much for the presentation. Here are our contact details. You can contact me, Patrick Cheeseman, using these details, the telephone numbers, and also the info@vonjaeger.com email address. And we will provide you with an excellent service to help set up and create these IBCs on your behalf and look after them for you. Thank you very much for listening to me and watching this presentation. Thank you and goodbye.